Russell Westbrook is officially on his way to the Houston Rockets, traded for Chris Paul and a massive haul of draft picks. Rockets general manager Daryl Morey pulled the trigger. Russell Westbrook is headed to Houston to join forces with Kevin Durant. That is two former league MVPs and Oklahoma City legends reunited in Houston on a roster built to win immediately. But this whole story goes way deeper than basketball. We are breaking down exactly how their old partnership fell apart, how they both changed their games, what Westbrook brings to a Rocket squad already armed with Durant, and how they fit. With one of the best young cores around, we will see if this reunion finally delivers the title that always slipped away in Oklahoma City. Stick around, because this thing goes way beyond the box score. To get why Westbrook reuniting with Durant in Houston is such a massive shakeup, you have to understand the sheer weight of this moment. These are not just two guys who shared a floor for a couple of seasons. Westbrook and Durant built an entire culture in Oklahoma City that defined a whole generation of basketball. They literally were the Thunder. Drafted back-to-back in 2007 and 2008, they built one of the most lethal offensive duos ever. And now, after years apart, running with different teams, writing different chapters, and healing a highly complicated relationship with time, seeing them in the same locker room again sparks a massive wave of nostalgia for anyone who loved watching them run it back then. The league is a cold business that always looks forward. Genuine full-circle reunions like this almost never happen so cleanly. But this feels different, and the entire basketball community knows it. The hype is completely real. This is the organic climax to a story that has been building up for almost 10 years. They finally landed at a spot that absolutely nobody predicted. But looking back, it somehow feels totally inevitable. We really have to look back at Westbrook's first run with the Rockets. It reveals so much about his fit here and what playing in Houston looks like. Back in July 2019, Oklahoma City shipped him to Houston for Chris Paul and a massive package of first-round draft picks, sparking one of the most highly anticipated pairings the league had seen in years. Westbrook and James Harden, two old Oklahoma City teammates split up for years, were finally reunited. The expectations were absolutely through the roof. Houston had built this wild, hyper-focused small ball system under Mike D'Antoni that leaned heavily on isolation play, non-stop three-point shooting, and a breakneck pace. Westbrook fit parts of that style beautifully, especially on fast breaks. His motor never quit. Russ put together some incredibly efficient runs that year, showing off the exact explosive play that made him a 9-time All-Star and MVP. But late-season injuries ruined his playoff run, and his partnership with Harden never built the smooth chemistry everyone was waiting for. Even so, his brief stay showed he connected deeply with the city, and the local fans embraced him with real passion, while the front office truly valued his raw energy over simple box score stats. Now, we have to look back at the history between Westbrook and Kevin Durant. This whole story traces straight back to Oklahoma City. They joined a young Thunder franchise still searching for its footing. Durant arrived first in 2007, picked second overall out of Texas. Westbrook came next in 2008, selected fourth overall out of UCLA. First, they were teammates, then close friends, and eventually the most feared duo in the game, constantly pushing each other over those legendary Oklahoma City years, making deep postseason runs, and building the kind of rare, elite chemistry that takes years to master, the kind of bond most players never find in their entire careers. They made it to the NBA Finals in 2012, dropping a tough 5-game series to LeBron James and the Heat, but remaining constant threats. They were the sole reason every Western Conference playoff bracket had to pencil in the Thunder as a terrifying championship contender year after year. For 8 straight seasons, their connection was about as close to a sure thing as the league had ever seen. That epic 2012 Finals run is worth looking at closely because it was the absolute peak of what Westbrook and Durant created together, giving us the perfect blueprint of what this brand new partnership could actually look like. That Oklahoma City squad was 28 years old on average, incredibly young, explosive, and terrifying to go up against. Durant averaged 28.6 points in that series, while Westbrook dropped 27.9, absolute forces of nature every night. They ultimately fell to a powerhouse Miami team led by LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh. But absolutely nobody watching those games believed that young Oklahoma City squad was going away anytime soon. Everyone agreed the Thunder were going to rule the decade. That summer felt like the dawn of a dynasty, not the edge of a cliff. Then July 2016 hit. Kevin Durant walked away from Oklahoma City to join the Golden State Warriors. The shockwave from that decision absolutely shattered the basketball world. Instantly, it became the most polarizing move in hoops history, leaving Russell Westbrook completely isolated in Oklahoma City. Their legendary brotherhood was dead. What followed was years of bitter tension, with awkward moments playing out in heavy interviews. shady social media posts, and on-court clashes that felt incredibly heavy because of their shared past. Lines were drawn. For a long stretch, the Westbrook and Durant story was defined by bitter division, not brotherhood. But that is not how this story ends. Time has a way of softening old wounds. Over the years, both Durant and Westbrook showed a maturity that nobody in 2016 could have ever seen coming. Durant started speaking out, showing real warmth and deep respect for his former co-star on several occasions. He called Westbrook an absolute league legend who earned the right to go out on his own terms. Instead of anger, he looked back at their history with genuine gratitude. Then, Durant shared an old photo of himself alongside Westbrook and the late Kobe Bryant on Instagram for his 37th birthday. The hoop world immediately read between the lines. Think about it. Durant is posting old memories while Westbrook is unsigned, and Houston desperately needs a point guard. That is not a subtle hint. Fans caught on, league insiders started talking, and rumors of a massive reunion exploded almost overnight. How their relationship shifted since 2016 is easily one of the most fascinating human stories in modern sports history. Right after Durant left, the vibe was toxic. The tension was thick. You could see it in Westbrook's body language against the Warriors, the coded interview jabs, and the constant media war. It got messy, the way things always do when two people who actually cared about each other fall out. But they evolved. They went through different chapters of their careers, eventually reaching a point where the anger turned into honest, mutual respect. Asked straight up about a potential reunion on the Up and Adams show, Durant did not hold back. He called Russ a legend who absolutely belongs in the league right now, saying he deserves to go out on his own terms. Then he admitted it would be dope. That is not some corporate publicist statement cooked up to spin the media. We are talking about a man who finally sat with a complicated history and found real appreciation for the brother he built something special with. So when Durant posted that old picture of himself, Russ, and the late Kobe Bryant on Instagram for his 37th birthday, right while Westbrook was sitting unsigned on the market, the message could not have been any louder. That journey from bitter rivals to peace is why this potential reunion carries so much weight beyond basketball. And that is where the current situation in Houston changes everything. The Rockets landed Kevin Durant from the Suns in July 2025 in a wild, historic 7-team trade. Houston is pushing all their chips in. Durant is on an expiring contract, meaning the pressure to win right now is immense. Their lineup is lethal. Alperen Sengun is a two-time All-Star center, giving Houston one of the elite big men in basketball. Ayon Thompson earned all defensive first-team honors, locking down opponents as one of the league's most versatile defenders. Reed Shepherd is the most promising young guard they have drafted in years, while Jabari Smith Jr. and Torrey Ean bolster a high-potential two-way core. The hype is real. Then, disaster struck. Fred VanVleet tore his ACL in a summer workout, sidelining him for the entire 2025-26 season and shattering their rotation. But that devastating blow opened a perfect door for Westbrook. According to Sports Illustrated reporter Eric J. Santos, the Rockets are looking at bringing Westbrook in on a one-year veteran minimum deal worth roughly $3.9 million, prioritizing his veteran leadership and locker room presence above all else. There is a catch. Houston still needs to free up about $2.2 million in cap space, and cap experts already see a clear path. Shipping guard J.D. Davidson to a team below the salary floor would clear enough space to get Houston under the tax apron. It is exactly the kind of quiet backroom transaction front offices pull off all the time. If the Rockets want to make this happen, money is not going to be the obstacle. It is a debate that has completely split the analyst community on whether bringing Westbrook in is the right move. Hall of Famer Rick Barry came out swinging in strong support of the signing. He praised Westbrook's relentless competitive drive, arguing his presence would instantly inject high energy into Houston's bench unit. Former All-Star Joe Johnson agreed on Shannon Sharpe's nightcap, pointing to the playmaking boost and his existing chemistry with Durant as reasons to gamble. On the flip side, critics have serious spacing concerns, arguing that a lineup with Westbrook, Thompson, and Sengun, three guys who can't shoot from deep, would give opposing defenses an easy blueprint to just pack the paint and completely shut down Houston's offensive game plan. The real question was never about the money. It was always about the fit, and which version of Westbrook actually shows up. Can he coexist in this system without causing the spacing disasters his critics are warning everyone about? Before we look at how he fits on court, we need to understand how desperate the situation is for Houston. The Rockets traded massive assets to bring in Durant, only to exit the 2026 playoffs in the first round, and now they have to start next season without their starting point guard. Losing VanVleet for the entire season is a devastating blow for a team trying to win a championship with an expiring max contract player at the center of everything. That instantly turned the Westbrook rumor into a very serious conversation. Let's be real about what this team actually looks like on the court. It is not 2012 anymore, and neither of these guys is the player they used to be. Last season with Denver, Westbrook got 13.3 points, 44.9% shooting, 4.9 rebounds, 6.1 assists in 27.9 minutes. He is 36 years old. He is no longer the triple-double machine who put up 31 points and 10 assists during those back-to-back MVP years. He is a different player today. Grasping that evolution is key to seeing why this move actually works for Houston. The Westbrook who fits on this Rockets team is a veteran who can spell the starters, bring instant energy, and push the pace in transition. He still attacks the rim with that timeless physicality, runs a second unit with absolute competence, and plays with constant urgency. Plus, he brings a level of competitive fire that younger players naturally feed off of just by being around him. That is a highly valuable asset. He does not need to be the MVP version of himself to make a massive impact here. Former NBA All-Star Joe Johnson said exactly that on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap podcast, calling the Westbrook signing a very smart gamble for the Rockets. His logic was simple. Westbrook has chemistry with Durant and still pushes the pace. Add in his career average of 8.0 assists per game and his willingness to accept a smaller role, and he is a far better fit here than anyone else at the veteran minimum. Johnson also pointed out that Smart, who handles some playmaking duties for Houston, only averages 4.4 career assists compared to Westbrook's career average of 8.0. That playmaking upgrade is not just marginal, it is massive. We also have to look at Houston's young core, because the team Westbrook is joining today is not the same franchise he walked away from in 2020. Opera and Shingun is way more than just a promising big man. He is already a two-time All-Star at 23 who gets compared to Nikola Jokic for his elite passing and incredible feel inside. Ayon Thompson made the all-defensive first team in 2025, developing into one of the most imposing perimeter defenders in the entire league. Meanwhile, Reed Sheppard is one of the most highly anticipated young guards this franchise has drafted in years. He is a lethal shooting specialist with great court feel who will take on a much bigger workload as he grows. Jabari Smith Jr. has steadily polished his offensive game while keeping that elite defensive versatility that made him a top 5 draft pick. Tari E brings energy and athleticism, giving them the exact kind of two-way effort that instantly upgrades any rotation he joins. This is a seriously deep roster. Adding a veteran leader to mentor these kids while playing a focused role next to Durant could mean the difference between another first-round exit and a deep championship run. Now think about how he actually fits alongside Durant on the floor, because that is where the real basketball drama gets incredibly fascinating. Back during their Oklahoma City days, their dynamic had a clear hierarchy, with Durant acting as the lethal scorer and Westbrook serving as the high-octane engine creating everything else. That same hierarchy still works perfectly in Houston, even though Westbrook's role in executing it has completely evolved. He does not need the ball in his hands or constant isolation to make an impact anymore. He can run the offense as a playmaker without dominating possession, setting up clean looks for Sen down in the post, Thompson cutting hard to the rim, and Sheppard spotting up along the perimeter. He is lethal in transition where Houston loves to run. Even now, Westbrook is still elite at turning a defensive rebound into quick points before the defense can even get set. Real concerns exist, and they deserve an honest look. The spacing issue is very real and cannot be ignored. Westbrook has struggled with his three-point shot his entire career, and when he shares the floor with non-shooters, things get cramped fast. Opposing defenses will just pack the paint and clog up the driving lanes for everyone else. That means the Rockets must be incredibly smart about their lineup combinations. They have to surround Westbrook with shooters to keep the floor spaced. Luckily, Houston has solid perimeter options like Sheppard and other guys who can knock down shots. The coaching staff under Ime Udoka, who just brought in former Thunder and Spurs assistants, will have to balance these lineups carefully. But this is a challenge they can solve, not some fatal flaw. This new coaching setup is worth a closer look. Ime Udoka recently hired assistants from Oklahoma City and San Antonio, meaning the bench guiding this potential reunion has actual Thunder DNA baked right into it. These assistants have coached guys in very similar offensive systems before. They know the exact pace and intensity Westbrook plays with. And they have the tactical minds to draw up lineups that get the absolute best out of Durant and Westbrook together, instead of forcing them into bad setups that hurt their game. That is not a minor detail. System is everything for a player like Westbrook, and Houston making these hires shows they want to recreate the style that unlocked his peak MVP years. Then you have the Steven Adams factor, which brings a massive wave of nostalgia to this entire situation. Adams is already on this Rockets team, which means a reunion would bring back Westbrook, Durant, and the very guy who anchored their physical front court back in Oklahoma City. Having those three names on the same roster again would spark one of the most nostalgic storylines the league has seen in years, giving fans a beautiful full-circle moment that nobody could have predicted. Those classic Thunder squads with Westbrook, Durant, and Harden were must-watch TV for an entire generation of fans. Putting three of those guys back on the same floor, even late in their careers, would trigger a massive reaction that goes way beyond normal roster talk. Houston crashed out in the first round of the 2026-27 playoffs, which tells you everything about the immense pressure mounting on this roster. Durant did not sign with Houston to mentor kids, he came to win titles, and his contract is about to run out. Time is running out. Without Van Vliet on the roster, or another battle-tested veteran playmaker to steer the point guard position across an 82-game season, the sheer urgency of bringing in Westbrook becomes impossible to ignore. This is not some luxury signing. It is a flat-out necessity wrapped in the warm feelings of nostalgia. That potent mix of emotional history and actual roster need is why these rumors are catching fire. We also have to look at what this move would mean for Westbrook on a personal level. He turned down his $3.47 million option with Denver to hit free agency, leaving his future in the league looking cloudy for the very first time. He has been sitting on the open market all summer without finding a new home. Houston is not just another landing spot, it is a chance to chase the one massive thing missing from his legendary resume. He is a 9-time All-Star. He has an MVP trophy. He owns the record for most triple-doubles in NBA history. He has put up numbers that only a tiny group of players will ever touch, but he still does not have a ring. This Rockets team with Durant and their young core is a real contender. That mix of a winning roster, familiar faces, and a real shot at a ring is about as good a reason to lace up as you can find in basketball today. For Durant, the benefits of bringing Westbrook in go way beyond what happens on the hardwood. They know each other's game. They know how they fight. They share a level of trust that normally takes veteran co-stars a full season to build. Durant needs a guy who will push back in practice, someone who competes at the exact high level required to keep him sharp. He needs someone who survived deep playoff runs at the absolute highest level and doesn't need to be coached on postseason intensity. Russell Westbrook is that guy. Their chemistry isn't theoretical, it's documented over 8 years of shared history. You really can't overstate how massive this reunion is for the league. Separated superstars almost never reunite under meaningful circumstances. Usually, the business of basketball only moves in one direction. So having a story curve back on itself like this, with two iconic players who literally defined an era finding themselves suddenly pulled toward the exact same franchise for real basketball reasons, that is genuinely rare. Kids who were only 10 years old when Durant and Westbrook dominated Oklahoma City are now in their late 20s or early 30s. They grew up on those legendary Thunder teams, never expecting to ever see this duo share a court again. Houston Rockets fans watching this unfold are absolutely thrilled. Social media exploded over Durant's throwback photo, and debates are trending about Westbrook's potential fit. Even the public push for guys like Joe Johnson. It all shows a fan base completely energized by the possibilities. Is there deep nostalgia here? Absolutely. But underneath the hype, there's genuine basketball logic. This isn't just a warm, fuzzy reunion. It's a strategic move that addresses a massive, glaring roster need. It brings a proven winner into a championship-hungry locker room and adds a veteran whose remaining strengths align perfectly with what Houston needs. Pull all these threads together, and you see a franchise that traded heavily for Kevin Durant, only to suffer a painful first-round exit in year one of his tenure. You've got a starting point guard lost for the year to an ACL tear before opening night even tips off. Enter a free agent who happens to be one of the most decorated players of his era, still ready to contribute at a high level, and willing to sign for the veteran minimum, and shares an 18-year history with the franchise star. On top of that, you have a young core desperate for leadership and playoff experience. The coaching staff has deep Oklahoma City roots, and now Durant is posting retro photos from the old days on his birthday. Every single piece of this puzzle is pointing in the exact same direction, and the only thing standing between this rumored reunion and reality is the final paperwork. If Russell Westbrook actually returns to Houston to team up with Kevin Durant, it represents way more than a simple roster transaction. It means Durant's Instagram post featuring a throwback of their younger selves with Kobe Bryant wasn't just nostalgia, it was a clear signal. It would show that the competitive fire driving them through those Oklahoma City years never truly went out. It just needed the right circumstances to flare up again. It proves Westbrook's answer to how he wants to handle the final chapter of his career isn't to just fade out quietly, but to step right back onto the big stage alongside the guy he started with and give it one more honest run. It means two guys who built an incredible legacy together saw it crumble in one of the most painful ways imaginable. spent years processing that split from opposite sides, yet somehow reached the exact same destination with maturity and perspective intact. They get one final shot to share the court, chasing the ultimate prize that eluded them before. It means the historic story of Westbrook and Durant, which felt completely finished in the summer of 2016, still has one final chapter left to write. Whether that chapter ends with a championship trophy or just two legends sharing a court and pushing their teammates to be better. Seeing Westbrook and Durant together in Rockets uniforms will be a visual that hoop fans remember for a very long time. And that's not nothing. In a game that produces moments that define entire eras, that is actually everything. So what do you think? Does this historic reunion actually happen? And if so, how far can Houston go? Keep it locked right here for more updates as this wild off-season story continues to unfold.